Hello, everybody. Today is Valentine's Day. I'm your host, the best with the best, Aaron. And today we're going to be talking about the top 10 anime couples of all time. So sit back with your couple, maybe. If you got a girl or you got a guy, what doesn't matter. Sit back, listen to my sensual voice as we read off the top 10 greatest anime couples. Now, I'm not gonna keep doing that voice. I can't keep that voice up for very long. I wanted to keep that voice up for like the whole video, and I really tried at one point to do it when I was doing these first takes on this, but I noticed my voice was like getting weaker as time went by, so I'm not gonna keep that voice going for the whole video. But anyways, guys, happy Valentine's Day. This is the top 10 anime couples of well, at least of my top 10 anime couples. Now, the few ground rules I'm gonna set is number one, if you disagree with one of these or you have some issue with it, feel free to put in the comments below, hey, I disagree with your number 10 or your number 8 or whatever, you should just put this on higher. That's perfectly fine. I'll just keep it nice and clean, and I'll be responding to it and be like, okay, I would say why I put them on my list. Also, number 2, there is going to be some spoilers. That's kind of unavoidable to talk about these characters a little bit. I'm going to try to avoid them as much as I can, but a lot of these shows are older shows, so I mean, realistically, it's not a big deal, but it is, in case you really were wanting to watch that show. And I will say that they're not going to be anything really horrible spoiler wise, but they will be slight spoilers. Maybe one or two actually might be really. Now I'm looking at it. Two of them might. No, actually, you know what? I take back. All of them are gonna be spoilers. That's unavoidable. But yeah, just understand and expect that. So if you really don't want to watch it because you're afraid of getting something spoiled for you, then it's okay. I understand. If you see a certain couple on the list, you can just click it and then skip ahead a little bit or whatever, see if you can find the next part of the video, because I've only spoiled the beginning of it. I'm not going to keep spoiling it throughout the whole me talking about the show. Finally, my definition of a couple, by the way, in anime is very simple. You must have been a couple and at least gone on one date or a semblance of a date at least once in the show and showed romantic interest for one another for a decent amount of the show. So what I mean by that is, for example, one of my first choices, I'm going to put them up screen in a couple of seconds, but one of my first choices is a couple that shows up at the end of the show, and they really kind of form at the end of the show. But it's not a big deal. It's just, they actually they were on a date. They fell in love with each other during the last episode. That to me is a couple. That's fine. If it's one of those shows where they kiss at the end and that's it, that's not a couple. That's a forming of a couple. Or you could say it's even beginning of a relationship, but it's not a couple. So it has to be that they were a couple at least for a semblance of an episode, or at least for longer than a few seconds, alright? Anyways, let's get on to number 10. Number 10 is going to be Taichi and Himiko from Kokoro Connect. Now, these two are not on anyone's list, I know. It's very rare to you ever see these two on anyone's top, romantic couples list, because they are kind of last-minute couple. But one thing I liked about the show is they really dealt with a lot of stuff, the various issues that they dealt with in Kokoro Connect. But I'm not going to spoil that. But it led them to falling in love with one another toward the end of the show. And at the end, they're on a date and they're talking about how they still love each other. And, they're really becoming a kind of good boyfriend and girlfriend. But they were already assembling that concept by the last, 15 minutes of the show. So I was really happy about that. And that's why they're on the top 10 couple. I think these two were cute throughout the whole series. I was hoping they were a couple throughout the whole series. And lo and behold, they became one, so I was really happy for that. Next up is going to be Yuki and Chisato from Love, Election, Chocolate. Now, these two is the perfect example of a couple that, they did not per se go on a date. Okay, I'm going to take back what I said before, that they, every one of these people went on a date. But they came very close to it. But even more so is that they showed love throughout the whole series, not in the conventional sense, but by being with one another. I think, honest to God, when you're with anyone in general, it doesn't always mean you have to go date someone, or it means that you have to be with that person and love them and show them affection. And one thing, without spoiling this whole show, because it could easily spoil this whole show, is Chisato has a lot of issues, and Yuki's always there for her, always protecting her, always taking care of her, despite her craziness and despite all the crap she goes through in the show. He's there for her, and I think that's a really, really nice thing. And I really love, I'm honestly, I love the concept of the show with these two, so I really want to put them in my top anime couple. Alright, so we're at number 8. Simone and Mia from Gurren Lagann. So, why is this really a surprise to anyone that they were going to be on the list? I mean, honestly, if you've seen Gurren Lagann, you know that these two had some great romantic experiences in the show, and that ending. I'm not going to spoil the ending of the show because I really want you guys, if you haven't seen Gurren Lagann, to watch it. But that ending, man, oof, it makes you feel. It really does. It puts all the feels out there, and I really think that these two were the prime example of a couple that had to overcome many diverse issues over the course of the show, but even more so toward the end of what they have to deal with, and how they show their love at the end. That is to me a great couple. I definitely was going to put these on the top 10. I really think they should have been a little bit higher, but I think the couples that go ahead of them are slightly better. That's just my opinion. I know some of you would be like, no, that's not, you're crazy, they should have been top first. Hey, like I said, put in the comments below if you agree or disagree. Keep it nice and keep it clean. All right, so we got 10, 9, 8. Number 7, yes, I had to count because I want to make sure I'm not like, I have a bad tendency of forgetting where I am in places of top 10s. Number 7 is Yuki and Yuno Gasai from Future Diary. So, what can I say about these two? Like, I mean, honestly, they're crazy. Some people might even say, well, are they really a couple? Yeah, they're a couple. They're a freaking crazy couple. But the whole point of this is that these two go through so much crap together, and regardless of what they're doing and what they're I'm not gonna spoil this show too much, but regardless of all the stuff they go through and all the stuff that seemingly is manipulating one another, it's still very romantic because they really are confessing their feelings for one another, but they're dealing with what the reality has faced them essentially. And I think that's really cool. I think that despite diversity in general life and all the stuff that you might have to go, the trials and tribulations of life, you can get through with people. If you have someone that you really care for, you can get through with them. I think this is a perfect example of that. It's a little kind of creepy way of saying it, but it is true that these two are a great couple, I think, in my opinion, and I definitely think they deserve the 7th spot. So, yeah. Number 6, Rentaro and Kurisu from Steins Gate. Why did it take me so long to remember her name? Steins Gate is one of my so-called favorite animes of all time, and it took me like 3 solid seconds of dead air to figure out what her name was. I am so sorry, guys. It happens though. You have those moments where your brain just goes, what? I can't think anymore. It happens. It really does. Rentaro and Kurisu are another kind of strange couple in the show. Now, some of you might go, well, they didn't go on a date technically, Aaron. They never did that in the series. Did they not do what they would perfectly do as a couple? Because these two are both science people. I don't know if you guys have ever met someone that's really into science, super into science, not a little bit, but super into it. They don't do things by the textbook example of anything romantic. I used to know a couple that were both science nerds, and there's nothing about it. There's nothing wrong. When I say nerds, it's not like it's the derogatory sense, because they were very smart and they were very cool together. But they were also like that, where they didn't show romance in the sense that it's like, oh, let's just openly show it. They did it in a weird way, and I think that's kind of showing what I mean with this whole thing, is that romance is not always shown in the very conventional sense. Sometimes it can be shown in weird, different ways, and Kurisu and Rentaro show it in a way that I think is really cool and different for an anime couple. So that's why they're definitely on the 6th spot, because they are a couple that goes through also their own diversity of trials and tribulations, or tribulations, excuse me, I said tribulations. Tribulations is a whole different word. Tribulations, but I really think they're a great anime couple. They are just nice together, and despite their wonkiness and crazy ass antics, they're just awesome. All right, so number 5 is going to be Bonri and Coco from Golden Time. I know Rose right away is like probably cringing if she's actually watching this top 10. By the way, since I've mentioned her channel, I'll put her name in the description box below. Yeah, I remember I did this during a live stream with several other people, and I said that they were like one of my favorite anime couples, and she was like, well, no, it can't be, no, you don't, they're so I think Bonri and Coco are a great anime couple. They're another example of, I think, having that both have fatal flaws as humans, because everyone has a fatal flaw to them. Everyone has quirks and kind of weird things about us. These two had a lot of weird things about them, but they were in love with one another. They fell in love out of an unconventional sense, but throughout the whole show, they were always together. Even when they had that split toward one part of the show, they still cared for one another. They were still thinking about one another. Come on. They're a great anime couple. They're really, I think they're so cute together, and I just like them in general. And yes, I'm a guy. I said they're cute together. They are cute together. They're a cute couple. Come on, give them that. So yeah, definitely top four spot, or definitely, excuse me, fifth spot. All right, fourth place is going to be everyone's not surprised here. Asuna and Kits. Oh my God, Carrito. What is wrong with me today? I'm keeping this stuff in too because I'm not going to redo this. I'm like 10 minutes into this video already. Asuna and Carrito from Sword Art Online. Now, I know a lot of people are going, "Oh no, why aren't they in the top spot?" Come on, do you really think that they're in the top? Their romance in the show is great. I will always say that, but they're not worth the top romance spot in any anime top 10. I think the reason being is that the romance has issues here and there, and it's sometimes forced at certain points. I think it's a little sped up occasionally. But one thing I like is that throughout the whole show, despite Kirito's kind of harem elements that he has in his world, Asuna just loves Carrito, and Carrito always shows a love and affection for solely Asuna, even though he's like flirting with the other girls. He's not doing that intentionally. He's doing that more so because he's just like that as a person. That's what I love about the show, and I love this about these two. I think they're really a couple that goes through a lot of crazy crap that they have to deal with, but I think they're a really nice couple. I think they're very sweet. Rushed or not, they're still deserving the top 4 spot, definitely. All right, now the top 3 big spot. And I think some of you could be surprised by these. In number 3 spot, we got Renton and Eureka from Eureka 7. So, Eureka 7 is one of the few anime in my life that I've ever binged watched. Like, I mean, I remember in high school when I watched this show. I think I've said this before, but I watched this show in one night. Like, I mean, I watched all 50 episodes in one sitting. The only time I got up was to go to the bathroom and eat food, but I watched this whole show. My eyes were like, I must watch next episode. I must watch next episode. I went to school, I think for 2 days in a row, like half asleep just because I was watching this. The first day because I didn't sleep at all. And the second day, I only had a few hours of sleep because a 50 episode show is a long time. I mean, that's like, 10 hours? Easily. It's long. It really is. But it's a great show. And I think these two as a couple are freaking amazing. Renton is not the best character in the beginning, but I think he really grows up into a manly character as the series progresses. Eureka, who is kind of an alien-like creature in many ways when she shows her affection, eventually becomes this girl who really loves Renton, and they love each other back. Like everyone else on this list, they really do go through their issues, but I mean, I think they're a great couple. Definitely deserving of the top 3 spot. Number 2 is going to be Shawna and Yuki. I think his name's also Yuki. Is it really Yuki? No, it can't be. I'm looking at my notes, and no, it's Yuji. I'm sorry. See, God, today is interesting day of making a lot of mistakes in these videos. Anyways, Eugene Shawna from Shakugan no Shana. Now, another strange couple. Many people say, "Oh, these two are a very odd couple." At this show, in the show, they deal with various things of their own accord, especially with the last season of them having to face the kind of epicness of having to fight one another. But one thing I loved about Yuji and Shawna, I think, is that despite all that, they were always thinking of one another. Even when they were fighting each other, they weren't fighting each other because they per se wanted to hurt one another. They wanted to do it just because they realized that they had different wavelengths on what they wanted to do with their lives and how they wanted to propel their future and how they wanted to keep everyone safe. I think that's really nice. I think it was one of the coolest. I mean, I love the battle between freaking Yuji and Shawna. That last fight is so awesome, where they're fighting midair, and he's using his sword, clashing midair with hers. It was just, I love that fight. I always gush over that fight watching it. But I love that at the end they're together, and they're willing to go to a new world that's not their own just to be with one another. I think that's really nice and sweet. This is a great couple. This is definitely worth the number 2 spot. But you are gonna be very, very surprised, I think. Well, actually, I don't know. If you know me, you might not be that surprised by my top spot. Am I making you wait on purpose, by the way? Yeah, I'm making you wait on purpose. I want you to wait. I want you to get that little feeling of like, where do they reveal it? I want to know who it is. I gotta know. Well, that reveal is over. My top anime couple goes to Yuko and Taichi from Dusk Maiden of Amnesia. What I could feel in the air, like the surprise and the crazy, like, oh my god, I can't believe it, he chose these two. Let me tell you something. By now, if you don't know, I almost think that Duskman Amnesia might be like tied with first place with Clannad for me. Like I love Clannad. I love Clannad to pieces. I've watched Clannad a dozen times. Equally, I've watched Duskman Amnesia a dozen times also. But I love these two. I think that they are the picture perfect couple. Despite everything going against them, despite her being technically a ghost, despite him being a living, breathing human, I mean, they are going through all of their stuff, being one another, and they fall in love with each other. And I mean, if you've never seen this show, I won't spoil the ending for you, but it is the one show that I've seen every single time. I've seen it 10 times, I think, over the course of my life, and I cry every single time at the end with their kind of touching moment that they have at the end of the show. They are, to me, like one of the best anime couple. Now, some of you might be going, well, where, you Clanad's your favorite. Why is Nagisa and Tomio not on this list with Tomoya? I mean, why is he not on this list with her? Simple, because I think that despite them being a couple, I know they're a couple, they become, an actual, romance, and they become husband and wife of the show. I want to keep this a little bit different than my usual top 10s, and I also want to keep this a little bit where I didn't have to mention Clannad right away. Like, Clannad is my go-to anime to mention everywhere, but they are not worthy, I think, of the top 10 spot. I think they're really close to it. I think if I had to give an honorable mention, it'd probably be both of them. But the reason I say that is because they by themselves don't make, I think, the romance that much better. I think what they do is the issues that propel them into a couple and propel them to be husband and wife are awesome. But how can I say this without like offending a lot of people? It's not that I'm offending people with the what I'm about to say. It's more so defending people that it's the choice I made with this. They are a couple by traditional sense, but really what they deal with is, I think, a lot of times forced melodrama when it comes to what they have to deal with as a couple in general. The course of the show. Like, again, I love Clannad. It's still my favorite anime. I'm not saying it's not, but every one of these people on top of this top 10 list have an issue that they're forced to deal with, and are kind of dealing with over the course of the show. I think Nagisa and Tomoya, yeah, they deal with a lot of stuff, but I don't know, there's something that I never want them in my top 10 anime couples, because I just honestly don't think they're worthy of that title. I don't know. I don't know. It's like one of those things that you can't explain, because I know a lot of people are going to say, well, I disagree with you, and I'll be like, I don't have a good argument to really fight you with that, because if you say you disagree with me on it, I'm going to be like, yeah, you're probably right when it comes to that. I should have had them in my top 10, but I think that I just wanted in general to make this a top 10 that had some significance to it. In my opinion, couples are not defined solely just because they're together. I think that there's a lot of things that make people a romantic couple. Going through issues with one another, growing with each other, loving each other. Some similarly kind of hating each other sometimes, getting on one's nerves, but also just kind of always finding that common ground between one. That's a couple to me, and I think that all these people have that, and through their various issues, they deal with that. They get to that kind of romantic couple stage. But I just think the way they do it is different than Clannad. I think Clannad is a great way they deal with it, but it's something that's been done before in other shows. And I think all these ones here are not your traditional sense. Is that a better explanation for it? They're not your traditional anime couples by definition. All right, guys. I really hope you guys have a great Valentine's Day. I hope this video wasn't too ranty at the end, because I think I was trying to, you ever have that where you're trying to get your thoughts and you just can't think of it? And besides me redoing it, I always want to keep this in the video, because I really got to this point that I'm like, I'm already 20 minutes in this video almost. I'm not going to redo it. Anyways, guys, I hope you have a great Valentine's Day with whoever you're with. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. It actually took me a long time to do this for some reason. But anyways, have a great day, guys and girls. Bye-bye.